It's recording now. And you all did get a copy of the agenda. It is a light agenda, so we can proceed as you wish.
Yeah, well, let's start, just with the welcome. Hello, everybody, anyone who's listening or online. Um, let's see, seven. Do we have someone in the audience?
Oh
We
yes,
do
we
have
said
someone in the
seven,
audience.
so
Andrew Churchill. All right. Hello, Andrew. Start with the administrative stuff. We've got approval of May minutes, but I think, did we also have to approve the February minutes? I
I think
thought we
we
did.
did, yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
so
think
I know Matt sent those out. I looked at those. Jonas got your email last week for your minutes. Um, can I get a motion to approve the minutes? We'll just do them as in batch here. So get a motion to approve both sets of minutes.
I approve.
Chris, all right, in a second.
A second.
All right, Jonas. All right, cool. So in terms of questions and comments, I had one on Jonas's minutes, and I remember leaving the meeting not being sure if I heard this right. Will the new sports fields be irrigated or not irrigated?
the new sports
The
fields,
new track field.
the track field. I don't know that. I don't know the answer to
Okay.
that.
It
Dave
said
probably will
irrigated
be
in the minutes.
here. Dave,
Okay.
Dave will probably be here in about 10 minutes.
Okay. I don't mean to question Jonas. I just remember talking to someone else afterwards who implied to me that it wasn't. So I wasn't sure if
Oh, did my minutes include irrigation? Notes about irrigation.
it said that they were going to be that it was going to be.
I'm more sure I heard irrigation from other people. So
You did, or
yep.
Doesn't seem like a word I would just pull out of thin air.
it says 8-lane track, 2 new fields plus irrigation drainage.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so nobody on the phone though remembers for sure.
I don't remember what was said there. It would strike me as being a little uh, uh, I don't know. Uh, it wouldn't be prudent to be putting in that new field without irrigation, without a plan for irrigation. We have a lot of fields in the town, of course, with drainage issues, but
Especially because you're not going turf.
right, the turf
I'm not saying
issue,
turf, but you're not going sod.
right.
Like if you go try to plant grass in September, August with no irrigation, Ray's going to be out there with a lot of sprinklers. You know,
This is all that's going in from this is going in from seed or from sod? Because I had heard sod inside the track, the
I
main
could
field.
guess. I could speculate, but I don't think so.
Okay.
that was going to be my question for today because I know you're not going to play on in the fall, but like
Right.
just the weed issue, without being able to put down some chemicals. But maybe when Dave comes in, he'll have some better answers on those. So
Okay. Well, maybe we'll tell you what. I mean, we're not strict Robert's rules here. I don't think we'll just wait on the approval until we hear back. I had no comments on Matt's. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Yep.
Okay. All right, then let's how about this? Let's just for right now, just for simplicity, let's just strike irrigation from the minutes and approve them so we can say it's done, and then we'll just find out if
Okay.
that works for you guys.
Yep.
That work, Jonas? Okay. All right, so motion to approve the minutes with that language struck. All in favor?
I approve.
Jonas, you good too? All right. Okay, good. 4-0. The minutes as revised pass. All right. So hold on, I gotta find which screen I had the agenda on. Right here. Public comment. So hold on, I'm juggling my screens here. So we have one member of the public present, Andrew Churchill. If you would like to make a comment, you are welcome to raise your hand and do so. Just if it were to be a comment, it should not be related to any of the specific items that we have on the agenda because we'll address those. That would be Aquatics, Friends of Amherst. Do you have any comment, Andrew Churchill, on any items? Okay. let's move on then. So Independence Day first, Ray.
Okay, I know we had Becky came in and gave a description last month about where we are here. This was the last, I put it on the agenda here because it is the last, uh, it's the last meeting before the July 4th event. Um, uh, a large part of it was putting it out here. I can do two things here. I can answer any questions about the agenda, about the plan. We have now gone semi-public with what the event looks like because we have already met with our UMass hosting partners who've been fabulous for us for my entire time here. We've already
Ray,
moved.
I'm sorry, can I
Yes.
just pause for, I forgot to ask, can somebody take minutes?
Yeah, I was gonna ask Matt, do you want to do it or you want me to do it? Want me to take it?
Do you mind, Jonas?
No, no, no.
All right, have you heard enough to catch?
I can stop it.
I hedged and started taking them, so.
All right. Well, next time, just
I can-
remind me because I forget stuff all the time. I think Matt's done minutes for like 500 meetings, I think, that I've been on
Yeah.
with him.
Yeah, he deserves a break.
Yep. All right. Okay, so Jonas taking over. Thank you, Jonas. Ray, back to you.
So I think I can do two things with this portion of the agenda. One is to answer any questions about the specific the night's event, about the amenities, about what changes have happened, about what's going on with that. Um, or I can pull up the map and walk you through all of those pieces, walk you through where everything is this year. I don't need to. I do need to. I know one thing that I appreciate. Again, Jonas volunteered to help me with the fundraising drive here, and I'll be reaching out to you here, Jonas, this week about sitting down and working out particularly that day of fundraising plan. But if there are any questions, any general questions, there is one thing that I can put out there and just float out there into the sort of thing that I can share with you all before we leave. But if there are any questions or if there's any interest in my pulling up the map and walking you through the different stages of our plan.
Did anything change on the map?
Awesome.
Okay.
From last month or last
Right.
year?
No, from last month.
No,
No,
last
'cause
month, we're good.
I was showing the map
There's
last.
the one thing that has, I believe we shared the possibility of the hot air balloon returning. The hot air balloon is not going to be, we haven't been able to finalize that hot air balloon. So that's the one piece that we have floated out there as a possibility that is not going to be on the night's agenda.
So I think the last thing that we kind of talked about was ways to fundraise and collect money with Venmo and stuff like that. And obviously, I think we kind of all agreed it wasn't an exit thing. It was
Yep.
kind of more of like an entrance thing.
Mhm.
I mean, this was years ago that I did this, but with during the show and on the way into the fireworks where we used to go, the fire department helped out.
Yes.
Walked around with like a boot drive, and people put coins and money and stuff like that in that. I'm not saying to ask the fire department, but I just didn't know. I'm not saying a lot of people carry around cash, but I don't know if Venmo was the answer. But I'm also 52. So
Yep. In my time, I think my time has been our transition away from doing donations in the parking lot. That's too intimately connected to parking, the cost of parking, and compelling people that they have. Like we we uh, we inherited a system that used to be that we'd collect in the parking lot when cars came in. In our time now, we've moved away from that. We've moved into a little bit more of the walkout. We haven't done it successfully yet, but we've done it in terms of sort of voluntary donations in the park at a table as you're leaving the parking lot, as you're walking into the event. Uh, the fire department has set up basically a transition point on Stadium Drive between the between the event and the parking lot, that as people walk by, most of the traffic walks by there, that our fundraising efforts, I'll talk to Jonas a little bit about this, will be centered on that pass a boot plan, some sort of fundraising games we can do out of that, some volunteer collection there. There's a little bit of energy we can bring to that walkway that's designed to say we need to have it's a crowdsourced, it is a crowdsourced event. This is not done out of any sort of operating budget. We aren't, the taxpayers don't pay for this event. It is out of sponsorship. It's a sponsorship drive, and it is donations that makes this work. And so part of it is to try and use that entry traffic, the way in, to encourage people to help us out, to donate, because it has been in our time since we stopped making it not mandatory, but since there has been persuasive energy in the parking lot to say suggest a donation as people are pulling in, since we've moved away from that, um, we haven't raised as much on the day of. We haven't had the opportunity to raise that much the day of, which means that we have to do a little bit of a concerted effort there. That means partners like Chris mentions the fire department and things like the boot drive. That means using our partners and our volunteers, our other agents, to basically help raise those funds. But it means energizing that effort. And using the visual cues like the fire truck as you're walking in to support these efforts, because we do operate at the event by itself is not a moneymaker. It's quite the opposite.
Okay, just roughly when you say the opposite, like
we've lost
10,000,
money.
like
We've lost
10,000, 15,000, 5,000, roughly. And not, you don't need to.
Thousands of dollars. We've been short of the money that we put in to the money that we have raised in sponsorship. There's been rising cost in in sort of the price of doing business with UMass, particularly the town of Hadley, with our arranging for professional coverage, raising the money to license and present the event. There is there's a rising cost of putting on the fireworks. The fireworks companies have raised in their costs. So we are trying to match that without we haven't raised as much day of. We've stabilized our sponsorships, our pre-event sponsorships. We have had we've had terrific, consistent partnerships in the community. We are selling the rights to parts of the event. The stage naming rights are there. We have sponsorship drive for the naming of the fireworks, which we started a couple years ago. So there are benefits. Last year, Camille Theriac, the press director, was our MC, did a fantastic job as the MC, and she got a lot of pretty good publicity. We got a lot of good publicity for our sponsors, for our business sponsors over the course of the day, and we're going to try and build on that also. So the lead up, we've gotten good support leading up to, but we have to try and find a way to keep that momentum for the event also.
All right. And then you mentioned that you'll be connecting with Jonas also on that
Yes.
fundraising piece. So I think, Chris, that's a big part of your question too, is that we're still going to be figuring out what some creative ways might be to raise money. And that's how, like, technically how you would do it, in addition to just good ideas. All right. Okay.
The second thing, and I put this out, not necessarily, I'm sure it could be a huge discussion. It could be a very short discussion. I just want to put this out as a year before. Next year is the 250th, as I'm sure folks are building in their awareness of. Next year is the 250th. the 4th of July celebration it's a big round number for the town and the country. And so it's a really weird time to say this, but jumping off of that last conversation about fundraising and about preparing ourselves for this event here right now, we have to look and see, is this something that we want to carry on and do in the future, which is one of the reasons why I want to make sure that we give it every chance to make this work as I can. The fundraising aspect of this, I would like to make sure that we run through this and uh, if we can or we can't fundraise here, or if it is something that we want to have part, not just in terms of people using it, but there's a sense of people being involved, and this is something that the community wants to pitch in and give to as much as consume. One of the things we're going to be looking at here is whether or not, I mean, the big picture, is this something that the town of Amherst and the rec department want to continue investing that non-budgeted time and energy into, because it is a lot of time on my part, especially on Becky Dimling's part, on my staff's part. It is a lot of time and a lot of cost that goes into uh, uh, making this event happen. And so, there's no, it's one of my favorite parts of the job. There's no sense of my wanting to give that up or wanting to outsource that or move it to someplace else. But it is something that I figure I just float out right now so that the Recreation Commission can hear me say that in preparation here, that this is something that we need to make sure that we're looking at its long-term viability as costs are rising and the labor inside the department is rising also.
Right, noted. So let's just make sure we get it on the agenda near the end of this year, not,
Yes.
February, March of next year.
We can certainly do it as a wrap up. We can sort of, that
Yeah.
can be part of our debrief at the end of this. We're certainly, as a town internally, we're going to be talking about that in our debrief this year.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Ray on Independence Day?
Nope.
All right. I think we're ready to move it over to Denise. Ray, I do see Dave in the attendees, if you want to bring him on over. Denise, thanks for bearing with us for the first 23 minutes.
Of course. I hear a lot and enjoy July 4th myself, so I'm happy to catch it on this side. So not a chore at all to sit through that.
Yeah, right.
So I was going to do kind of just a super brief recap on where we were this past academic year or indoor pool season, and then highlight the fact that I will say I was the very first human being in Mill River pool this morning. So our outdoor season kicked off, and it was a bit of a polar plunge. But the community is excited to have the pool open, and it certainly takes a little bit of a strain off of DPW and myself to stagger the two pool openings. So we're doing a soft launch with lap swim hours in the morning. The sun shining made a huge difference in my book. And then a few hours after school for open swim. We didn't see too many people today because obviously the water temp is a balmy 68 degrees. But by the mid to late part of this week, I expect we'll have some good folks playing in the pool, which is awesome. It's hard to walk around a pool, have it full of water and not get in it myself. So I was happy to be in there. So our indoor season this past academic year was really strong. We taught 300 swim lessons, not unique kids, but 300 swim lessons over the course of the season. Even with we did have a hiccup when the arms pool was down in September and October, but we still hit our marks there. We taught 17 adaptive lessons and 15 adult lessons as well. So I'm trying to kind of shift my staff, even the young folks, towards some new types of programming. I'm currently on the hunt for and I think I found someone to teach, while I don't want to teach water aerobics myself, I have some folks, because I know there's demand in the community for that. Water aerobics, kind of water yoga type of vibe for the fall season. So we're going to try to keep our indoor pool as indoor pool programming as robust as possible. Our Amherst United rec swim team is underway with their spring and summer season. We are holding steady with around anywhere from 75 to 90 kids participating on that team. I was really lucky to field the UMass swimmers as they finish their season. So we've had some really strong coaches, and it's certainly a revenue generator for the aquatics program. And obviously we rely on the middle school pool for all of that work. Additionally, I ran master swimming at Hampshire College. So one of the things that is sort of on our docket, Ray's and my docket for the next probably 6 months or so, is thinking about the other pools in the community that we could access and keep building the pool programs. And then we have Mill and War, which happily Mill is underway. My staff's been scrubbing it. War is, I believe that the liner is in from when I drove by today, and sort of the indoor locker room work has been going on. The staff has been out there every single day, probably the past 2 weeks. So we're hoping and expecting to open on time on June 20th. However, I did push off swim lessons, which are the really challenging thing to, if we have any delays, we're pushing off swim lessons to June 30th. So we have a little bit of breathing space if War needs a little bit more time to come online. And this summer we'll have a full slate of swim lessons for both camp programming and evening swim lessons. So I think we taught 900 swim lessons last summer, and I expect to see that same foot traffic. For the lifeguards, our favorite thing is to have a pool full of capable swimmers rather than the kids who really need lessons and think that they can swim. And then we did have 2 saves this year at Arms. So my staff is really great at getting in really quick when a kid goes under and doesn't know how to swim, much to their surprise. So I'm feeling really confident with the staff, really excited that I have so many returning staff. I'm going to employ as many young adults and teenagers as possible this summer and keep them out of trouble. And so, as I said, the projects underway include thinking about other pools that we might have access to. And then for me, whether it's like Belchertown's pool, for example, has been released by the school district and is now hopefully going to be part of the town conversations about water safety and swim team programming. So in the back of my mind, I am always stressed about our pools. I did launch a community asset mapping survey that I sent to every coach I know in Western Mass, the high school coaches, the rec coaches, aquatics coordinators. So I'm hoping by probably the end of the summer to have a kind of a brief written up, because Western Mass infrastructure, like if we don't have a pool, we are not creating a swim safe community. Our swim teams are struggling. It's a quirky sport. And for the most part, the respondents on the community asset survey, all of their pools were built, well, I should say 80% of their pools were built between 1961 and 1989. So as finances are tight, pools are definitely going to fall by the wayside, and thinking about how we can make sure that we have healthy and safe spaces that are taken care of, that we can swim in, is definitely on the forefront of my mind. So I'm working on that as well.
Busy. Matt.
Yeah, I just had a question. So the Mill River pool went down. Did the lessons just get cancelled or delayed, or were you able to find another pool?
Oh,
Not the Mill River, I mean the middle school pool.
the middle school pool. Yep. So the middle school pool, I canceled one slate of swim lessons that were supposed to be launched at the end of September. They were to wrap up at the end of October. So my late October lessons got off on time. So I did cancel. We lost a month. We lost a month of swim team training as well. And I know that I'm the high school swim coach as well. So I knew that by Thanksgiving, when the high school team needed to be getting in the water, it was likely that the pool would be fixed. But we have enough programming and enough demand that I fought to have it be brought back online as soon as possible. So whatever support you all out there in the community gave me, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so it wasn't possible to move them to another pool.
No, I don't have, aside from the during
Right.
the school day, I have Hampshire College, but that is it. We don't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments for Denise? All right. Well, thank you for the update. You're obviously very busy. Keep it up. It's very much appreciated.
Absolutely.
All right. That brings us to Friends of Amherst next, Ray.
Okay, this is also a quick one. This is what I tabled last month at the end. Um, I've mentioned to Andy and Jean a little bit earlier on. We want to transition the Friends of Amherst account. The board that runs the Friends of Amherst account needs to transition it out of their hands.
Could you just explain what this account is first? Because
Yes, the Friends of Amherst, like other Friends accounts, is basically, in the past, it's been a 501c3. The 501c3 status has dissolved over the course of the last 3 years. Now it's simply a bank account. It's a fundraising bank account that operates to support. It's a organization outside of recreation that supports recreation programming or could contribute to town causes. That Friends of Amherst account has been big at sometimes. It hasn't been since I've been there because the board hasn't really been very active since I've been aboard. Um, we would like, I think the transition, we would like to try and get you all with your meeting here and your approval. What we would like to do is we would like that bank account to be moved into the control of the commission if possible. And so if we wanted to support, say, using a pool fundraiser or think about what's on our agenda right now, or 4th of July as a great example, if we wanted to try and find some way to invest in bringing the hot air balloon, if we're sitting and saying that the hot air balloon can't come because we just don't have enough money to make this happen, and all of our sponsorship money is already tied up in other places, if we went to the Friends of Amherst and said we need some support in making this hot air balloon happen, can you uh, uh, can you underwrite this activity as part of our event? The Friends of Amherst then could write us a check and help us with that. It hasn't been done this way, but I think this clears. We've asked the questions about whether or not this is something that legality, if this is something the town can do or should do. If the rec commission is to operate that account, then it basically is operating outside of the department, and we don't have to worry about it's a 501c3. It has to go through all of the qualifications that uh, about having monthly meetings and having a board and having everything there. But it's somebody that would be able to manage that bank account.
Before I get to you, Chris, so I want to be clear. So there's money sitting in an account. Who owns that right now? You said the 501c3 is dissolved.
501c3 is dissolved. There are a couple
Who's the
of
signatory on this account?
signatories on the account that can't do it anymore.
Okay. Actually, Chris, I'll jump to Dave real quick first.
Hi, everybody. How are
Hey,
you?
Dave.
Sounds like a night of updates. Interesting and exciting updates all around. I just wondered, quick question for Ray, I guess, is is there any way that this could simply become some sort of special account or gift account under the rec department? I mean, throughout the town, we have many special accounts. For instance, Conservation Department has a special account for trails. Anybody can make a donation to fix a bridge or put in bog bridging or repair a trail or something like that. Has that been explored at all? You and I haven't had an opportunity to talk about that. I just
Dave and I
that's
haven't
an
spoken
option.
about this before. I certainly can look at that. I spoke with the comptroller. I spoke to Holly Drake about this um, a few months ago about the need to sort of to push this in another direction. About originally we were looking at finding somebody else outside of. I I think the fear was if we as a department control money that's fundraising and is separate from our budget process. If we fundraise in a separate gift account, that seems like what gift accounts would be for. I can follow up with, I can ask Holly that question.
Yeah, I'm happy to help or contribute to that conversation, and we could bring that information back to the commission. Again, people raise money for trees, to be planted on the common, et cetera, trails I'm thinking of. I'm sure there are others, but yeah, um, happy to help with that if I can in any way.
Thanks, Dave. Chris?
So I guess my question is, how was that money, who was donating money, or where was the money coming from before that's A, left in the account, and B, just kind of like what Dave was looking to explore a little bit, if somebody just say I wanted to give $1,000 towards campers, could that be in the future, like that kind of thing to help? Not that I want to today, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, for other programs that need help. Like if you had that 501c.
Yep.
And how much money's in there? Do you know roughly, or?
I could let you know before the end of the meeting. I believe there's probably about $6,000, maybe about $6,000 in it right now. The uh, when I took over, we did get one really healthy donation my first year that they were looking to try and invest in our department. I had spoken to a an investor basically who was looking to try and support Amherst, uh, um, support recreation, support the town of Amherst, and at that point, I was still working with Barb Bills, my predecessor, and finding out how to work all of our accounts here. And it was suggested that we put it into that 501c3, that put it into the uh, the friends account. At that point, it was the last point, it was a 501c3. Um, and at that point, they had offered it for camps, specifically for the purpose of supporting camps and the exploration of, it was camps, pickleball, and the youth empowerment.
Mhm.
The idea of youth empowerment, a youth empowerment center, basically, and their idea was building a rec center, putting it towards a rec center for the rec department in the town. And so it has sat in that. We've accessed it for a couple of things. We accessed it for the ski program, was the one place where we've particularly used that money since, with their permission. We've used that money to write, to support the ski program, to make the ski program affordable, to cut some of the costs that we were looking at for the ski program, which will be coming up. We'll be looking to use that money this year for the ski program, for the busing for the ski program, and that was the primary space where we used it. We also have used it for after school. So two places where we have actively used that account. Um, um, After school for their vacation camps and for their and for their field trips, for their field trips, vacation camps. We've used Friends money to support that so the kids don't have to spend out of their own pockets, which I think is the purpose of the Friends account and the purpose of of us providing those for the after school program or for that ski program. We want to try and subsidize as much as we can programs like that for kids who want and need it.
So I guess in hindsight, that's the type of thing when I would be not necessarily willing to offer more time today. But like that seems like a worthwhile adventure if we can get fundraising going for that to help supplement other programs.
Correct.
You know,
and so something like Chris, you've talked to us about volleyball. So using that as an example, we've also had people came to pitch us a model for like a basketball clinic.
Yep.
And doing that sort of thing. If we wanted to use that money, we could raise money in the community that doesn't have to go directly into the year-end accounts. This is where Dave mentions about the gift accounts. The gift accounts don't have the same lifeline that the money that we bring into the rec department would have. And so the money could live longer in a gift account, or could live longer in a 501c3, could live longer and support our programming in a longer fashion that we control.
I'm wondering whether we just table this for a month. It sounds like there's maybe some internal conversations that could happen relative to finance and accounts. I also, I get worried also in terms of maybe restricted donations and wonder whether this is something that, we get the town's attorney to just weigh in on. If people have made a donation with the expectation to this 501c3 with the expectation it's going to cover something else. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know whether that would, whether there's rules of disillusionment around that 501c3, whether we can just take it and spend it however we want. It seems like there's probably a little bit more homework that can happen so we can have a more focused conversation. In addition to also like, is the ask that we take on a fundraising component to put money into this account, because that's a whole other piece of work. So is that good if we just push this back? Unless,
Yes,
Jones,
absolutely.
Matt, anything you'd like to add? Okay. Okay. All right,
Absolutely.
that sounds good. Next up, update on prior discussion topics. Actually, Dave, while we have you, I think I may have just confused myself on the track field. Will that be irrigated or will that not be irrigated?
Yeah, I'm happy to. I don't have your agenda right in front of you, but I could jump around a little bit.
We were just reviewing minutes from last meeting, and I may have misremembered something, and I just wanted to confirm whether irrigation is included in the field.
Yeah, you've got me flat-footed a little. I believe the system will. I should probably not speak in.
Yeah,
but I can get that to Ray. I
sounds
know there was discussion early on about water cannons, and DPW uses those quite frequently, for instance, on the football field. And honestly, let me send that around to you. I should stay in my lane.
Well,
I'll
the
do
other
that.
on that one would be, was it going to be turf, not turf, but sodded on the inside? And
That I know the answer to. And I think there may even be a difference. There might be irrigation on the field in the middle of the track, and then the use of water cannons outside on the field to the west. But the answer to the sod question is we will be sodding the field in the middle of the track. And then if we can afford to sod as the project moves along and we assess costs, if we can afford to sod the field to the west, to the left, if you're looking north, we will do that. If we can't afford in the budget to sod it, then we will loam and seed it. So I have the answer to that, but not specifics about irrigation.
That's totally
I
fine.
will get that for you though. I actually have a meeting, as a matter of fact, I have a track and field update meeting tomorrow where I will clarify that for you all.
Right.
And I'll get that to Ray.
Thank you.
I'm making myself a note to follow up with you on it.
Is this an okay time, Andrew, to update on track and field and a few other things or no?
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Thank
So
you.
in the spirit of all the updates you're getting from Denise and Ray, so staying with the track and field, I don't know how far and wide the invites have gone out, but we are doing a groundbreaking event on June 16th. I hope you all got that. It's 4 p.m. June 16th at the high school. We will have representatives from, of course, Amherst and the Pelham, Leverett, and Shutesbury. All the communities gave to that. The superintendent will, of course, be there and have a prominent role in that, as well as the council president or her designee. So we're really looking forward to have athletes, coaches, etc. It's really, you know, this is like a 7-year effort to get this facility built. So that's June 16th at 4 p.m. I believe the athletic director has given us permission as of June 18th to begin the fencing of the fields, which really means we're going. And so fencing will go up, perimeter fencing will go up around the entire field system over there to the west of the high school. And the bulldozers and the excavators arrive and off we go. Demo track, take down lighting, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a 4-month construction. So we will kick it off on the 16th at 4 with a groundbreaking ceremonial, symbolic groundbreaking, and then boom, follow it a couple days later with all the construction material and equipment arriving. So very excited. Again, we're looking at not playing on those fields fall of 25 and likely spring of 26. We've got to work with the athletic director. How do you work with having the track accessible when the field itself is not? We might, if the weather is in our favor, because that field is going to be sodded, we might be able to play on that field in the spring of 26. We will, in all likelihood, not be able to play on the field to the west of that until probably late spring, early summer of 26. So that's the schedule. Excited to get it going. We have all the funds available we need for the project, and off we go.
All right.
Awesome.
Any questions about that?
It's awesome.
So good news there. Moving close by, but right across the street to War Memorial Pool, we've got 2 things going in parallel. One is, and I'm glad Denise is here, is I wrote down on my notes here, the race to open. So we are, I was there on Friday looking at, you may recall, there is, let's see, brand new drains, all approved drain system in War Memorial. As of Friday, the new liner was going in. The company was finished with the walls, if you will, of the pool, but still doing the bottom of the pool from shallow end to deep end. I haven't been there since. Maybe Denise has. And then it is also a race to complete the minor roof repairs, painting where needed in the bathhouse. And then the largest piece is really replacing all the plumbing fixtures. So
Right.
that's where the facility staff and the DPW are coordinating. We've had a couple of bumps in the road, but hey, this is Amherst, and everybody has bumps in the road. So we're working with a very limited staff and some challenges, but we'll get there. Denise, remind me, what is your target date? It's a good night to remind me of that target date of opening more.
Yep. So we were hoping for June 20th. I can push it off to June 30th. I'm ready to staff for June 20th, but I
Okay.
don't have any programming scheduled. I can shuffle my programming around a little bit.
Okay, I'm glad you're on the call.
Yeah,
That's
and
good.
talked to Alan Snow today, and he said he's aiming for an inspection on June 18th. So we will, fingers crossed on that one.
Okay. No, it's good, good reminders. I'm making some notes. Excellent. So that's War Memorial Pool, the race to open for 25. The other thing that's going on in parallel is perhaps the more, not more exciting, but the longer range plan. So Ray and I will be part of a meeting coming up later this week. I'm not sure if Ray had mentioned, but we are again working with DPW. I think we mentioned this at the last meeting on options for either reusing the pool house or looking at some other options, modular pool house, etc. This is in the context of realizing that we are not going to be able to come up with $4 million to build a new building there. So we will be meeting with the consultants that the town hired on that this week and see what they came up with. We know we have some CPA dollars available. I think right now in the order of about 1.25 million. And those funds were essentially for a new building. We would probably have to go back through CPA and the town council if we wanted to use those funds to remodel the existing structure there. So we should have some interesting new information later this week that can be provided for you to you at your next meeting. So stay tuned on that. Any questions about War Memorial before we kind of move on?
Not here,
Anything,
anybody?
Ray, you want to add anything, Ray?
No.
Okay. Let's see. I don't have any significant updates on pickleball. I don't know how it's going at War Memorial. Perhaps Ray has excuse me, at Mill River. I'm not sure how the sharing is going down there. I know that Ray, you're working with DPW on the schedule for resurfacing there, and
Resurfacing.
I think that's between you and Amy Rusecki at DPW.
Yes.
Has there been any conflicts? I'm just curious, any?
Conflicts, we're getting a little bit of conflict inside of pickleball, but I think this is manageable about the space that they have. It's not a pickleball versus tennis sort of thing. It is a little bit of I'd say there's a little bit of restlessness inside of pickleball to um, have their own space, and I think that's what we're managing right now.
Mhm. Okay.
When is
Um,
the resurfacing, Ray, and sorry if like you don't know that, but do we have a general sense of when the resurfacing would take and how long it'll keep the courts offline?
DPW priorities have led our efforts towards the pools first, um, and now and also maintaining our active playing fields. Um, but it is it's a spring to summer project, so I'm hoping to be able to get it done here in the month of June.
June, okay. And then what is that, just like a long weekend that it's not playable, or can that be
I
done
think
by
it's a little
that?
bit longer. It's a little bit longer than a weekend. Um,
Look for it
it
to
would
be
be
a,
offline.
yeah, okay.
based on, if I could, based on the, we did a more significant redo of the basketball courts, and it's a bigger square footage over there, but that was some weeks to do. I mean, I would not be surprised if this is 2 weeks. But Ray,
Could you take the 6 courts at the middle school and allocate 2 to pickleball for that couple of weeks? Because
Not
I
our
agree with
courts.
Dave. It's not a, and it's weather dependent too. You know, once you start that project, if you get rain or humidity,
They,
you know, that stuff needs to dry.
they have to have a clear forecast in order to
Right.
plan it out. And once again, the issue with the middle school courts are we don't operate them, and they've said that they don't want to
You don't
move it
operate
over
them.
to
Okay.
pickleball.
No, I understand that.
Meaning the school doesn't want to use
The
them?
schools.
The school doesn't want us to use them for pickleball for like 2 weeks.
I haven't asked about the 2 week.
Okay.
So
All right.
I certainly, that's
I think it's a good idea to float by them. Just as you mentioned, we've got a community that's very passionate about it, and losing 2 weeks of the summer towards it is probably be pretty distressing for people.
Yeah, and I mean, if they have
Two
a
weeks of
camp,
2 weeks of necessarily good weather.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Right.
Matt,
Does Hampshire College have pickleball courts?
yes, they do.
They do.
What's the situation with the town having access to them?
I can answer that. I mean, we have put in the request, Matt, through Paul, who really meets with Hampshire College leadership. And I think, we put in a couple of requests around their recreational facilities. So I think once things settle in a little bit, you probably have heard their current president is leaving. There'll be an interim president. I think that decision will probably be moved to her, and I'm blanking on the interim president's name, but she is a current staff member there. So I think Ray and or I can kind of nudge Paul a little bit in that conversation to see. They do have some really nice pickleball and tennis courts that were resurfaced, I believe, in 23 maybe, or early 24.
ago.
Yeah, they're on the western side of the campus, and they are very nice. And so I forgot, are any of the middle school tennis courts, are they lined for pickleball or not?
No, they are not.
No, okay, I thought, for some reason, I thought they might have been, okay. But we can kind of investigate both to try to bridge that two-week gap.
thank you.
Honestly, with both fronts, I'd like to see longer term agreements, and share some of these resources, so. Moving along, if I could, I want to be sensitive to your time. We are still waiting, and the ball is really in Paul's court. I know you have selected members, your two members, I believe, of the working group. That was Chris and Sanjay, I believe, for the working group at Cherry Hill.
Yes.
Ray and I are simply waiting for Paul to designate the other members. So budget season is here, but we're moving quickly through it, I would say. And it's, Paul's been focused on a lot of things to get the FY26 budget launched, but I think we're seeing the end of that process. So I'm confident we can get him to give the green light on announcing the members of the working group and scheduling a series of meetings with them. So stay tuned on that. On Cherry Hill, just the other thing that Ray and I will be working on this summer, if the capital budget is approved, which I believe the capital budget is being discussed, there's a public hearing on it right now as we speak on the town council virtual meeting. There is money, I believe, is it in 26, or did we get it in 25, Ray, to address the flooding, to try to do something with the bridge between the first tee and the first fairway?
That was for 25.
25, okay. So we have, I believe it's $40,000 or $50,000. So we'll be working with some folks in probably in facilities and design to get something going there, some simple solution to try to bridge that gap over the Eastman Brook, I think it is. So, and then the last update, just an interesting conversation I've been having. We are switching down to South Amherst, to the former Hickory Ridge Golf Course. We are making some progress down there. The solar should be done in about 40 to 50 days, which has been a couple of year process, very intense staff-wise. We have some of the trails already constructed. Many of them will be fully ADA. We're getting benches installed, new kiosks. The clubhouse is down. But the reason I mention it is I'm having some very fruitful conversations with some members of for instance, the cross-country coaches from Amherst Regional and also from UMass. And there's some interest once we are done with the construction, and the solar is it's 26 acres of solar down there. It's a 150-acre site, but 26 acres of solar. We need to get big equipment and construction done with before we invite the public fully there. But I met with Chris Gould and some of the other coaches at Amherst Regional, and there's some interest. So I put it out there as we think creatively about as Ray and Denise and Becky and other folks think about creative recreation ideas, Hickory Ridge will be available. So whether, for cross country, for Nordic skiing, etc. So I just put that out there that we're making progress, and once the site is fully safe, if you will, we'll be inviting the public there in a formal way. We will be opening some of the trails as early as this fall. I hope that they had be ready to be open this spring, but we've had some flooding and overtopping by the Fort River with all the rain, so we're doing some repairs. So I put it out there just to put on our creative thinking. I don't think there'll be any swimming in the any competitive swimming in the Fort River, Denise. But it would make a heck of a lap pool right now. I will tell you, you could try to swim upstream in the Fort River right now, and it would be quite the workout. But anyway, I put it out there for the future to think creatively. Camps could go there. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful site.
No shot of putting the pickleball courts on the where the old storage barns were.
Well, I didn't mention, so part of this, and I'll be giving an update to the council later in June or early July. One of the things that the council would like to know is what are the opportunities to reuse the frontage on Hickory Ridge? And there's about 4.5 acres of frontage there where the parking lot and the clubhouse used to be. And there'll be lots of interest in that 4 acres or so. You may recall we were talking about a South Amherst fire station there. In all the analysis by the fire department, it was determined that that's really too far south. So we are not going to put a fire station there. But there certainly is a housing crisis in the region in Amherst. So it might be an interesting place to look at for a modest senior housing. We might also look for other municipal uses. Some people in the community have talked about a new senior center. Could that be a location for a senior center? Perhaps. It's not on a bus route. There's no sidewalks, but again, we'll do some creative visioning around what the frontage on Hickory Ridge could be used for.
Matt, I see your hand. I was just going to mention disc golf, Dave, as something that I would love to see a permanent home for in town. Matt,
Same comment from me.
oh, okay, all right. Yeah, it seems like it would be sort of an ideal location for that as well. And actually, that reminds me, I had a question about the temporary disc golf installation we had. I know, Ray, you had mentioned that we were trying to get like a tournament happening there this spring. Did that happen, and how did that go?
In the spring, no.
did
No,
not.
our inaugural tournament will be Veterans Day, will be the transition, sundowning the golf course and going into the off season. So our initial tournament will be then. We couldn't guarantee the weather in April. What we found is you have to plan those a little bit far out, and the weather wasn't going to be predictable enough for us to be able to run that before the opening this year. We're looking into trying to do one on the holiday that leads the Veterans Day holiday that closes Cherry, and then again next year doing one more towards the end of that golf off season.
All right, Dave. That's been a long list. Any others that you wanted to update on? Wanted to update us on?
No, I think that's it.
All right, excellent.
you.
Any questions or comments for Dave?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep, agreed. All right. Then we're up to old business, new business. Any old business? I think I addressed mine, which is just a question on disc golf, and we had a couple of outstanding items from last meeting, which I know we're going to get updates on later. Any new business? Anyone? All right, and then I guess we do have a spot for a report of the chairs and staff. Nothing from me. Ray, anything you'd like to report that we haven't talked about already?
No.
All right, then I think we are ready to adjourn. 7:05. Thank you, everybody, for the time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, have a good one.
Bye
See you
all.
Thank you
Monday.
all.
See you Monday, Andy.
Yep.